star Luciano Pavarotti sings Rossini and cooks pasta. Richard Thomas confesses his conversion to opera fans. Billy Crystal from Soap challenges television violence versus sex. And now, here's Dinah!
Funk to the 40s, sentiment to the 70s. She's got a Tony Award for her best performance on Broadway. Harvard Hasty Pudding called her the Woman of the Year. The Grammy called her a winner. Any word that would be written about this lady, I suppose the most descriptive and unquestionably the truest. She's an original. Please welcome Miss Bette Midler. If I ever saw a Midlerism, that was it. She stood there and she said, and then all of a sudden she goes, that's you.
Well, I got carried away.
Oh, why not? They love you.
So more people than I've seen since I hit LA. I mean, this is the most. This is the greatest, biggest number of human beings I've seen together in about 8 months.
You want to know? Isn't that funny? That everybody thinks so. You walk along Hollywood Boulevard and you don't see anybody out here.
No one. There is no one here. They're here, but they're sort of all in their cars, you know, and it's...
Yeah, in their cars, in their houses, behind their fences, making their own barbecue. You don't have any weight problems, though, do you?
No. Well, I did. I was kind of chubby last year. I was kind of chunky, and I was unhappy about it. And I couldn't fit into any of my clothes. And, you know, when your clothes start to pinch you and call you names and sort of attack you when you try to put them on.
Yes.
I had a whole set of clothes that I really had to throw out because everything was just, it just hurt.
Oh,
it just hurt. You couldn't sit in them or anything.
You don't throw them out. You save them because you're going to get back there.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think so. And then by then, they're so far out of style, it only takes 10 years for you to get back to it.
That's right.
What did you do to lose weight?
Well, I went on that liquid protein diet.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yes, I did. I did. Of course I did. I thought it was fabulous. Until people started dropping like flies from it. You know. Well, I swore by it. I turned all my friends onto it, and everyone I knew lost a lot of weight. And then when all the reports started happening...
Yeah, any of them disappeared? I mean,
no.
Have you seen them say?
No, but I knew when I discovered it that sooner or later the AMA was going to start saying that it was no good for you.
Of course. But I mean, you really look great.
Thank you, my dear.
Beautiful. Just beautiful. You know, I saw your show in Vegas, and I've seen it many times, but you are perpetual motion. You just never stop. You get on stage, there's got to be a better word than perpetual, but it does. Her little tippy toes,
yes,
she just keeps going. Little feet go all over the stage all the time, and she doesn't stop, and everybody's singing, and she's moving, and they're moving along, and the band is moving.
Really?
Where do you get that energy?
Well, first I think of the money.
Oh. Oh, that would pick
And I think the faster I move, the more money I will make. And no, that's really not true. Actually, that is true. Then I think, it's the only way I can keep going. You know, it's the only way I can remember what comes next is to run just as fast as I can.
I was going to ask you about that because you have some of the most complex material. You got to learn that beforehand. Is that what you think about before you go on stage?
Yes. See, I do a lot of it. I learn new lines almost every night, so I'm constantly trying to remember that. Yeah. That occupies a part of my mind, and then the music is kind of
complex.
Complex, yes.
Sure.
And I have those 3 girls to deal with.
Yeah, they're so
the yentas, I call them the 3 yentas. They are a scream.
Oh, I love them. They really, and they, you know, they're over there. They're just moving like butter, and you're out there. You know, I really love the show.
Thank you.
I think I told you about 5 or 6 times anyway.
Well,
what do you want to give an audience when you get out there?
Oh, that's a nice question to ask. People don't ask me that too often. I think a a sense of celebration, a sense of joy, a sense of hope. It's corny, it sounds very, very corny, and some of my act is titillating and some of it's extremely vulgar, but people like that, you know? People like that. And, but what it comes down to, after all is said and done, is it's a celebration. It's joy. And I used to have a friend, a fellow named Bill Hennessy, who used to come to me. He worked for me for a long time, and before every show, he would come into my dressing room and he would just stick his head in, and he would say, "Remember the joy. Just remember to be joyous." And that was all I needed, just those few words, and I would just. And it was like, it's funny, it's like a funny kind of wind-up doll. It's just like what you said.
No, but what's really marvelous about that is that if you can remember the joy, then you don't ever notice that there won't be one isolated person in there who can bring you down.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. I've spent a lot of time cheering up just one miserable little soul in the front row. There was once a girl I was playing the round, and there was a girl. It was the first time I'd ever played the round, and I was completely freaked out because I didn't know where I was.
No, you never
I was
did.
dizzy. I couldn't find, and I was sort of swaying back and forth. And here I finally found my mark, and my mark was an empty seat in the front row. And right next to this empty seat was a woman who looked so unhappy. And I sort of figured that her date hadn't shown up, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Or she had been jilted, or she had gotten, and it was just, and I played the whole show to her, and finally I couldn't stand it anymore, and I asked her what happened, and that's exactly what happened.
He didn't show?
Yes.
Oh, but that's so nice of you, because most people would have sat there and said, "She doesn't like me. Well, I'm not going to play to her if she doesn't like me." And look off and find somebody. Then you can't take your eyes off that person because you think they don't like my act, they don't understand me. Interesting thing, I was thinking, when you do comedy, as well as singing. Well, there are not too many singing comedians. There may be a lot of men who do a lot of comedy, but you do, one of a kind. And Lenny Bruce said that comedy, getting the response that he wanted from comedy was like a sexual experience.
He said that.
I read it somewhere.
Ooh. What a wise young man.
Yeah. You agree?
Oh, yes, I would agree. I would agree. It's a funny kind of satisfaction. It's
but not in lieu of.
I mean, no, I would hardly say in lieu of.
No, I mean, if you got a whole evening for the laughs, it wouldn't mean.
Well, I think you ought to have laughs while you have sex. I think that would be like the most dynamite combo.
How do you suppose he'd be?
No. You know what I mean. Well, it can't all be Sturm and Drang, can it? No, it can't all be thunder and lightning. Some of it has to be titters and giggles. You know, you have to have some yucks.
Yeah, you could laugh while the earth's moving. So that's fun.
I knew a fellow who used to laugh uproariously when it was all over. I mean, he just used to get hysterical.
The guy,
it was really annoying. I mean, yes, he would just break out into just guffaws.
Oh, that's better than a rash, I guess. I'm here with Bette Midler, who literally rocketed to stardom overnight.
Overnight, right.
Yeah.
It was a long evening.
It was but a good one. Really.
I wish I could remember all of it. People call me and tell me and remind me of wonderful things that happened, but I guess it happened all so fast I don't remember a whole lot of it. It was fun.
Things are always happening, and there are people who will remember things along the way you won't remember because there's so much else going on today, actually.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Are you enjoying it?
Well, you know, I think I'm like everyone else. I have my good days and I have my bad days. And when I have my bad days, I sit around and sulk and pull the covers over my head. But they pass, and that's what you really have to remember in this life, that you can live through it, you can live through the dreary times and come out and be ahead of the game. You know, you can have grown from those times, and that the good times always do come back. It's all a cycle.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you were talking about living in California and the isolation. And when you were in New York, there was no such thing. You can't be insulated from anybody. You're moving along from one place to another. That's kind of like, I keep going back to that Neil Sedaka song, The Hungry Years, because there was things, everything that happened was of some moment.
Oh yeah, the very first years when I was working, when I first started singing, it was terribly exciting. Every day brought a new song, a new phrase, a new joke, a new piece of clothing, a new way of looking at things, a new friend. It was very, very exciting. When you reach a certain measure of success and find yourself getting fat and lazy, you know, it's time for you to put yourself back in the harness and go out and find exactly what it was that you had when you first started. I'm going out on the road fairly soon. In fact, when this show airs, I will be on the road, and I'm going back to do clubs. You know, little tiny clubs, the same kind of clubs that I did when I first was working, when I first started working, which was about 7 or 8 years ago, and maybe 6 years, maybe 4, maybe only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I say 5, and nobody believes me either.
What were those 5 years like?
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that, because those are going to be just tiny little rooms of 300 people a night, and I'll see them all, I'll see all their faces, and they'll see me, and it'll be like old times. It's good to be that, to do that, you know. I mean, I had the chance to go into the stadiums, and I think that's the wrong move. That's even more isolation.
And yes, it really is, and it's so impersonal, and it does expose you to larger numbers of people, but there isn't the contact, which is what I think, the face you can see in the front row when her guy didn't show up. When you were very young, what triggered you to want to perform, to give, and to receive that way in the very first place? Can you remember?
Well, I had always done it, but I had never really thought of making a life for myself out of performing until I was about 16 years old. All kinds of things happened to me. I met a girl in high school who was very lively and full of fun, and I had never known anybody like that. Everyone in my background was sort of, you know, somber and serious, and here was a person who was just full of jokes and never took anything seriously, and what they used to call happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
And she sort of dragged me along with her, and she was always getting into scrapes and trouble, and I just had so much fun. Everything was just, it was always a laugh. Every day was a laugh. And
I would imagine it would have been the other way around. You'd have taken some very quiet, you know, somebody and said, oh, come on.
No, but you see, I was very, very quiet. I was very introverted, and I was a straight-A student and very disciplined. And
you were?
Oh, I was very quiet.
Where was this?
This was in Honolulu. How dare you? I was very tasteful at one time in my life.
I don't quite, tasteful, I understand, but you quiet and not really extroverted and thinking about something funny to say and something wonderful to sing and some way to shock people.
I was very, very quiet. I love to read. I was a reader, you know, I was a real bookworm. I was. Remember bookworms? They had all these names for people. You know, you were a bookworm, Four Eyes. And, oh, she's happy-go-lucky. You know, and
they're the titles.
Then everyone was sort of put in their category. And I was trying to move. I was trying to cross over. And
well, you sure did.
I did, finally. I did, because everything happened at once.
Did she? And she helped you?
She helped me. She used to just drag me along with her on these great scrapes. We would get into lots of trouble. We were shoplifting, and we would throw parties, and we joined a motorcycle gang one summer, which was great, you know.
Did your folks know about it?
No, they never knew any of it.
And how about her folks?
Oh, her folks were, they knew. They couldn't stand it. They used to drive them nuts. But there we were. We were sort of like the bad girls in the neighborhood.
You went from straight A, perfectly Four Eyes reading, a bookworm, to being a bad girl on a motorcycle.
It was the most exciting thing. Everyone should try it. Everyone should get over to that side of life once in a while.
Isn't that funny how one person can can turn your whole life around without even knowing it. You didn't know it at the moment.
Yeah, yes, it is, and it's wonderful. I think I wish for everyone the same thing, the same kind of friendship that I had.
Yeah.
Some people never have that in their lives. It's too bad.
No, they really don't. You have passing acquaintances that go through your life and that you happen to be thrown with. But how'd you get to New York from Honolulu?
Well, I just gritted my teeth one day. I said I had to go. I left college. I quit after a year because I just couldn't take it. It was just too slow and dull. And I said, I'm for the high life me. And I packed my bags, and some friends of mine and I got into a van, and we sort of started, we started across country, and that just took forever. I couldn't stand it.
From Honolulu? Now, wait a minute.
Well,
I'm still in Honolulu.
You know. Oh, we flew to San Francisco.
To the mainland. Okay,
yes.
Flew to San Francisco. And then you got a van.
Got in a van, and this is when I was about 18, and drove across the country, and that was too slow and deadly dull, too. So I got on a plane in New Orleans, and I said, all right, me for the high life once again.
Here I come. Okay.
And there I was in New York, and actually in Jersey, because I had relatives there, and I spent a few weeks with them, and then got on a bus or whatever it was, and came to New York, and there I was.
How about auditions for shows and things? Did you know
I started immediately. I had one friend who was working in the experimental theater downtown in New York, a fellow by the name of Stanley Rosenberg, who teaches in Sweden or Denmark now, teaches theater arts. And he got me a job, got me my first job, which was in a chorus.
You never forget somebody that gets your first job.
Oh, Lord,
never,
no,
ever,
no.
ever.
No.
Now, so then, did you audition for Broadway shows?
Yes, as soon as I came to New York, I auditioned for Fiddler. I think I only auditioned for Fiddler on the Roof for a year. That was the only show I could ever get auditions for. I guess because I looked real, ethnic. Yeah. And and they were having lots of road companies at the time because it was a big show, and they used to call me for the road company.
Did you get it?
I never got near the place.
Kidding.
No, never. I mean, I would get to the last call, and then they would say, too short, too fat. Nene's too big, excuse me, oops, built wrong, wrong color hair,
Well, then how'd the bats come about? Oh, there's music. That means we'll be right back. I started to ask you, how did you get to the baths? And explain what the baths are, because a lot of people don't. Well,
that particular bathhouse isn't there anymore. At least I don't think it is. I haven't been in the city for 8 months now, so I don't know the state of that. But I'll tell you, I was working at a club downtown in New York called The Improvisation on 44th Street. And every night after Fiddler on the Roof, I finally got into the show, into Fiddler on the Roof. You must know this. It had a happy ending after all.
Big part.
I finally got into the show. And after a year, I said, well, this is very nice, but let's move on. And I couldn't move on. I couldn't get another job. So finally I said, well, Nertz. And a lot of things were happening.
That's exactly what you said.
That's what I said. I said Nertz. And there a lot of things were happening. There was, the Beatles were happening, and Janis Joplin was singing, and I had the good fortune to see in 1 week the Rolling Stones, Janis Joplin, and Tina Turner in 1 week.
Wow.
And that was pretty much, that was the end. I just couldn't go back to Broadway after that. So I said, well, I'll sing. I'll just be, I'll get my Tina Turner chops together, and I'll try it. I'll be a Tina Turner. That's what I'll be. And I didn't turn out that way.
Well, she had Ike there,
she had all those girls, and I thought, good heavens, look at that woman. And, but I said, I have to sing. I really do have to sing. And right after that week, I went out, and I started working in the clubs, the nightclubs, the little boîtes, they used to call them. And you could work for free. You would sing 3 songs, and then they would throw you off the stage. And, you would land on your keister, and you would get up and
Little Bitty Gong Show.
Right. And so I started doing that, and I did those for 3 years straight. I went every night, 7 nights a week. I would go to 3 and 4 clubs a night, and I would work on my little act. Yeah. And finally, I hit the big time, which was the Improvisation, the big time club, where you still didn't get paid, but at least, some real people in the business would come to see you. And I was working there, and I was doing very well. And the owner of the club, Bud Friedman, started to manage me. He liked me very much. One day, a fellow came down with a lot of long blonde hair, with a great mane of hair, and he shook his hair, and he said, I like you very much. Would you like to come to work for me? And I said, to work? And he said, yes, work, I'll pay you money. And at this time, I mean, money, I mean, real money?
What is that?
It was unheard of that you could actually get paid for this. I was so used to working for free. And he said, I'll give you $300 a week. And I said, $300 a week? I mean, my eyes just...
The man is crazy.
It was unbelievable. I said, what do I have to do? And he... At that point, you know, anything. And that's what I wound up doing, too. He... so low rent in those days. I've moved up considerably. Yeah. I'm not as cheap as I once was. My taste is still cheap. Anyway, so he said what I have is, I have a bathhouse. I have a bathhouse, and it's exclusively homosexual, and I would like for you to come and work at my bathhouse. I said, and that's $300 a week, sir? And he said, yes. So I said, oh, I'll be there. And
did you know whether you had to sing or tell people?
No, he told me I was to entertain these people who came to, you know, for rub downs and massages and steams and whatever else they did. But I was going to be the entertainment. I was going to be like the extra added attraction. I said, all right, you know your business better than me. And I went, and I was a huge smashing success. I mean, I was real big. Yeah. People, I mean, first of all, no one could believe that anyone would sit and sing to 400 people in towels. No one could believe this. At the time, it was extraordinary.
That's right. It's hard to believe.
For me, it was just another gig. I mean, I was paying my rent, and I thought, well, this is just dandy. I didn't think anything about the towels, because, well, you know,
yeah, you know.
One here. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Well, with a couple of inches here and there in between. I mean, who's gonna ride home?
Took off his towel. Go ahead.
And it was a very exciting time in the city. Yeah. There was a lot of activity, a lot of nightlife, and all the cabarets were starting up again. And here I was with this great big huge smashing success. Yeah. And I stayed there for about 6 months. I would work every weekend, and every weekend I had to work up a whole new routine, because the same people would come back because they couldn't believe what they saw the weekend before. And that's how I got myself together.
That's really incredible.
It was a big help to me.
You've got a whole new project now, though, but your special sounds great.
Oh, my special is fabulous. You must see my special. My special is Too Demented.
Who chose the title?
Well, we sort of hemmed and hawed about that. It's called Old Red Hair is Back. Old Red Hair is Back. I wanted to call it Old Red Eyes is Back, but I thought that was someone else took that.
Yeah, that's great.
It's called Old Red Hair is Back, and it's on December the 7th, and we were going to call it Kamikaze, but then we thought, well, that's, you know, we don't want to disturb any, you know, I mean, the war is over after all.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we didn't call it, you know what kamikaze means in Japanese?
No.
Directly translated, it means divine wind. Which, yes, it does. So we thought, oh, that's very funny.
Sure.
But then we thought, well, no one will know what that really, you know, and no one knows that it means that. So we'll just call it Old Red Hair is Back.
Old Red Hair is Back.
And Dustin Hoffman is on it, and he's fabulous.
Dreamy.
And he is marvelous. And
is it true that while he's playing the piano, you take his trousers off?
Well, it's what is the big deal? Gosh.
I read it.
What a straight-laced group of people. You all know how a zipper goes.
They want to have fun. They just want to live vicariously. Go ahead.
Well, what's the big deal? A couple of inches here or there. I mean, what is the big deal? So easily titillated, aren't you?
Yeah. Aren't you glad?
Well, he was marvelous. The premise of the scene is that he wants to play the piano, and I want him to get ready to do a very elegant number with me, and he wants to do his number, and I want him to do my number.
Right.
And he's dressed very casually, so I say, well, you must get ready for my number, and he says, well, do it yourself then. So I have to dress him in his tuxedo while he plays the piano.
Oh, that's adorable.
It is adorable. It's very tasteful. It's not at all seamy and vulgar like you all wish it were.
Yeah.
Very soon.
Well, We'll just read between the frames.
He was marvelous, and we have Emmett Kelly on the show, too, who is marvelous.
Yes.
He's, well, there's no other word for
The
him.
great
He's
clown,
just,
the really great clown.
he's great.
We have a clip from it. Does it need explanation, or can Hemian and Smith
this is the...
do such wonderful things?
Yes, they do. They shoot. They're great.
Yeah.
I think I look okay. I was a little chunkier then than I am now, but still and all, it's
Still and all
very
beautiful.
glamorous and
And
exciting.
redhead.
We spent a lot of money on it. We spent a lot of money on it.
But don't you
Spent
worry
some
about
of
it.
my own money on this turkey.
You did?
Well, you know, it's also expensive. This whole thing. I mean, I don't really know how people survive in this racket.
It costs
It costs a lot of money. I mean, you don't think that the garbage that you're seeing costs a lot of money.
Wait a minute.
It's very expensive garbage.
Very expensive. It's Beverly Hills.
Very expensive. I mean, I'm not present company excluded, of course, madam.
Oh.
But I mean, I'm talking about some of the variety shows that you see on TV that where you're, you know, the kind where you just say, I don't believe they're doing that. That's so awful.
And it
costs so much money to do that.
That's right. It costs.
And there you are sitting in your house going, that is just awful. Well, anyway.
And NBC will be happy to hear your description.
Oh, but however, my show transcends.
It's December the 7th at 10 p.m. from 10 to 11 on NBC.
Yes.
Okay, I got that. But I want the clip that we're going to see is what?
That's the opening of my show.
Ah.
It refers to my Hawaiian background and the fact that I am a little off the wall.
Shell comes Oklahoma. What would you translate? What were they saying there? Maybe.
Well, that chant it's Hawaiian. It's real Hawaiian. Some of it is Yiddish.
Yiddish Hawaiian.
Some of it's Hawaiian and some of it's Yiddish and some of it is English and it's all sort of mixed up and it means essentially here comes the demented redhead. So, it actually says that in Hawaiian.
Yeah, that's exactly what we'll get. We'll be right back. Hey, I got to see that. It's tonight.
Yes.
Tonight, which is December the 7th, by the time it's a play. And I want to get a chance to talk about your album because I know you got to catch a plane.
Go ahead.
And it's all right?
Go ahead, madam, please.
It's all right, please?
Please.
All right. Well, as long as you don't mind. It's called Broken Blossom. There's one, but here's one that is entire. This is a different. Which you wanted to say. It's so pretty, and you don't let people...
I don't look at all like that.
No, but you don't let people see you like that. That's the way you look now.
Well, it's because, you know, I've always sort of made myself up myself. I mean, I've always put my own makeup on, and I found a fellow who, you know, I found a makeup man, and that's what I look like when I don't do it myself.
Oh, but you don't look...
They always say, why do you look so strange? Because I used to go out with these great big these blue lines on my face, and you couldn't ever see my face. I mean, because I had red hair. I looked like Emmett Kelly.
Like
I did.
Were you hiding like Emmett Kelly?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do that. We wear crazy clothes when we first start, and we do all kinds of weird things to disguise the fact that there's just somebody that's a little scared sitting back there.
That's right. That's right.
Who picks out your songs? Because I love something. You've got Empty Bed Blues. Paradise, A Yellow Beach Umbrella, La Vie en Rose.
Oh, that's a
Standard.
what a song.
Isn't that a beautiful
What a song. Great
and
song.
I'm a Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. Why would you record that?
Well, actually, that song, I was very lucky with that song. Someone came to me when I was working at a club, and I was doing a little bit of that kind of stuff. And he came to me and he said, you should sing a song called Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B. And I said, yes, I'll sing that.
You never heard it?
I had never heard it, but I loved the title so much. I mean, it was so silly. And so wonderful. I mean, it had a life all its own, this little title.
Sisters.
Yes, and so I went and I did some research, and I found out about the Andrews Sisters, and I found out all about the music that they sang, what was going on at the time, and I fell in love with it. It was it was so energetic and full of love and life.
Yeah. Well, you are too.
Well, madam.
No, you really are. I am, you know, I'm so glad you came over. I'll tell you the truth. I don't think our show will ever be the same now that you've been here.
Oh, no.
Well, that ain't bad. But I want to thank you, and I thought perhaps if you'll just promise that you'll come back next time and do something outrageous. You know,
I'd love to.
or like cooking, you know.
Oh, that would be funny.
Okay,
that would be funny. That would be funny.
Well, keep that one in mind. She's going to come back and cook, and maybe you could do the toe tap. Nobody's done a toe tap for ages.
I can't toe tap.
We'll learn. We'll do the toe tap, and you could sing a little something, a Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. Just come back and decorate the place.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.